Guy de Maupassant was one of France's greatest writers in the 1800s. He was known for his sharp, realistic stories that often looked at the darker side of human nature. People admired his tales for how clear and powerful they were in showing life, love, and society. But behind this successful writer was a man fighting a secret and scary battle. As he got older, Maupassant started having strange and upsetting visions. He said he saw a copy of himself, a ghost-like presence that bothered him when he was awake and made it hard to tell what was real and what wasn't. This was a chilling sign of his own mind getting worse. These unsettling experiences weren't just quick moments of confusion. Maupassant talked about them to his friends, who became more and more worried about him. His friend, the writer Paul Bourget, said that Maupassant described these visions with both fear and wonder. He would see his own likeness sitting in his office or walking next to him. These weren't just shadows or tricks of the light. To Maupassant, the double was solid and real. It would interact with him, sometimes just watching silently, and at other times talking to him in a way that left him deeply shaken and questioning if he was losing his mind. It was a deep and personal horror. The stories from his biographer, René Dumesnil, and others paint a clear picture of a man bothered by his own reflection. The doppelganger was always with him in the last years of his writing life. It would appear without warning, sitting in his chair just as he was about to sit down or standing over him as he worked. This phantom twin was more than just seeing things. It showed a deep problem inside him. It was as if his own mind had split, creating a separate being that held his fears, his worries, and the sneaky illness that was slowly taking over his thoughts and his life. One of the most famous and scary events happened in 1889, an event that seemed to mix his writing process with his mental pain. While working in his office, Maupassant claimed his double came into the room, sat across from him, and started telling him a story. The author, both scared and forced to, reportedly wrote down the words spoken by his ghostly twin. This incident was a terrifying peak of his experiences, where the ghost was no longer just watching, but actively helping him create his writing. It marked a point where his inner demons seemed to take control of the very art that had defined his life. The story supposedly told by Maupassant's double is an interesting part of literary history, but it's important to make one thing clear. There is no known published work called the dictated story. This name refers to the event itself, not a specific book or paper that still exists. Experts have looked for this manuscript, but it has never been found. This makes many people think it was either lost, destroyed, or maybe never even existed as a full work. The tale remains a powerful symbol of his mental state, a moment where his visions directly met his identity as a writer, creating a legend that has fascinated readers and biographers for many years. While the dictated story itself is lost to history, its themes and the fear behind it are very clear in Maupassant's existing work. Two stories in particular, Louis, meaning he, and the famous Horla, are strong fictional explorations of what he went through in real life. In Louis, the main character is bothered by a constant feeling of someone else being there, a double who follows him and fills him with an unexplained dread. This story, written before the worst part of his illness, shows that the fear of a phantom self was already something Maupassant thought about a lot, a seed of the madness that would later grow so sadly. Horla, published in 1887, is perhaps the most direct and terrifying reflection of his experiences. The story is told through the diary of a man who becomes sure that an invisible, harmful being is living with him. This creature, which he names the Horla, drains his life and controls his will. The narrator's slide into madness, his desperate tries to prove the creature exists, and his final decision that he must kill himself to kill it, all mirror Maupassant's own battle. The story is a masterpiece of scary psychology, getting its power from the author's own real fear of losing his mind to an unseen force. The connection between Maupassant's life and these stories is clear. The fear of the double, the loss of self-control, and the terror of an invisible presence are not just clever writing tricks. They are real expressions of his personal suffering. In Louis and Horla, he turns his private pain into universal tales of psychological fear. He gives a voice and a shape to the very visions that were bothering him, letting readers see into the deep darkness of his own mind. These works show how he could turn his deepest fears into profound and lasting art, even as those fears were consuming him. In Maupassant's time, his visions of a double were often seen as something supernatural or as a sign of a uniquely creative but troubled mind. However, modern medicine offers a much clearer and more tragic explanation for what he went through. Doctors and medical historians now largely agree that Maupassant was suffering from neurosyphilis. This terrible illness, a late stage of syphilis, attacks the central nervous system, including the brain. The symptoms he showed match perfectly with how this disease progresses, giving a scientific reason for what once seemed like a ghostly encounter. The symptoms of neurosyphilis include many different problems with the brain and mind. Patients often have severe headaches, changes in personality, paranoia, and most importantly for Maupassant's case, vivid hallucinations. The specific type of hallucination involving a doppelganger is a known medical condition called autoscopy, where a person sees their own body at a distance. For Maupassant, this was not a paranormal event, but a terrifying symptom of his brain getting worse physically. His double was not a ghost from another world, but a phantom created by a disease inside his own body. His decline was slow but constant. In the years leading up to his death, his friends noticed his increasingly strange behavior, his memory loss, and his growing paranoia. He suffered from terrible migraines and problems with his eyesight, all of which fit with the progression of neurosyphilis. The confident, strong writer slowly turned into a man haunted by his own mind, unable to tell the difference between reality and the phantoms his illness produced. The double that told him a story was, in this medical context, a sign of his own mind breaking apart, a sign of the final stages of his tragic illness. Therefore, experts today believe that Maupassant's doppelganger was not a supernatural visitor, but a symptom of his advanced disease. This understanding doesn't make his experience less horrifying. In fact, it makes it even more touching. He wasn't just fighting a ghost, but battling an incurable illness that was slowly destroying his mind. This medical diagnosis allows us to see his last years not as a slide into madness caused by imagination, but as a brave, though ultimately unsuccessful, fight against a real and destructive physical illness that was taking everything from him. The deep and unsettling link between Maupassant's illness and his writings is one of the most interesting parts of his legacy. His stories became a canvas where he painted the picture of his own mental and physical decay. The themes of paranoia, madness, and how fragile the human mind is are not just abstract ideas in his later work. They are raw, unfiltered expressions of his daily battle. He took the terror of his visions and the worry of his failing health and turned them into fiction that still connects with readers because of how chillingly real it is. His struggle was not separate from his art, it became the very heart of it. His genius was in his ability to record his own decline with such clarity and artistic control, at least for a while. While his mind was being attacked by the symptoms of neurosyphilis, he could still put those experiences into structured, powerful stories. La Horla is the best example of this, a story that works as both a masterpiece of horror and a medical account of psychological breakdown. Maupassant essentially became the subject of his own final, terrifying experiment in realistic writing, exploring the very limits of sanity from the inside. His art gave him a way to face and, to some extent, understand the chaos happening within him. In the end, understanding the medical truth behind Maupassant's doppelganger encounter makes us appreciate his life and work even more. It changes the story from a simple ghost tale to a deeply human tragedy. We see a brilliant artist struggling with a deadly illness that attacked the very source of his creativity, his mind. This event is no longer just a strange anecdote, but a crucial key to understanding the dark, obsessive themes that fill his later writings. It shows the huge personal cost behind some of his most powerful stories and adds a layer of tragic depth to his literary achievements. To conclude, Guy de Maupassant's encounter with his double serves as a sad reflection on the complex link between creativity and suffering. His illness, while destroying him, also fueled a final, brilliant burst of creativity that gave the world some of its most lasting tales of psychological horror. His legacy is therefore twofold. He is remembered as a master of the short story and as a tragic figure whose greatest works were born from his deepest personal torment. The phantom that haunted his study has, in turn, secured his immortal place in literature, a ghostly testament to a mind that created beauty even as it was falling apart.